Mm-hmm.
I
Welcome
just
to the molybdenum software show where everyone's a winner and the code doesn't matter.
hello. Sorry for talking over you during the intro.
That was already also a reference. Did you? Do you know?
Sorry. What was that a
That's
reference
why
to?
you're such a good developer, Jeremy, because you have not wasted your time on TV shows and entertainment.
I have I mean, the
Let's see.
thousands of hours that I've put into Rubik's Cube stuff, Shar, I imagine is equal to or dwarfs any TV you've
Okay.
watched.
Okay.
But I appreciate the compliment that you slid into there. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. All right, look, it's a lot to discuss and to nerd out about, but let's do some work.
Yep.
Okay, here's my screen.
Today is address the last to do and then move on to poem.
Both.
Do we have any pending PRs? Or did they all? I think they all got merged.
There's this branch here, cleaner or something. Multi-7. That's what we were doing, right? Let me see if I can get a PR list. There are no pull requests, no open ones. Here's
Okay.
main.
Yeah, I don't see any pull requests either. So great.
Did we fix the docs deploying?
Yeah, we squeezed a commit into that PR before it merged, before it landed.
This.
Yeah. So what's fun is we never actually had to
This.
admit that we broke it.
Something's funny here. Oh, this is just a release. Okay. This and that.
So that commit we amended, I believe. Or no, not that one. Maybe that one. No, it's the 63E9 is the one where we introduced the bug, but then we amended it so you won't see the bug.
So what is this?
So we did two things in that pull request. One was
This is not the program docs. This is the NixOS docs.
Sure. Yeah, I guess I don't know how the
Show
docs work. But the bug we had
this
in
fixes
here,
the.
Yeah, there are 3 hunks. We didn't have the middle hunk, which then triggered an issue with, like, you notice that in main, we were canceling the docs build because, like, a PR wanted to run the docs. And then we added that hunk in the middle. We fixed that bug. That bug never made its way into main.
Okay. Branch. Wait. What we really wanted to do is open up a browser here and do mob reopen. Okay, it's better.
Okay.
Branch. And then we were doing cleaner PSQL REPL. And then the mob start here is in order. Now mob done. And git stash, basically this one. Wait, not quite that. And git stash and git read base master main. Can I do inline tab? Is that a thing?
Inline tab.
Can I do like something like this?
I have no idea. I don't think so.
Unlikely, is it?
Yeah.
And git push and mob start and git stash. Oh. and that's a rebase.
Every time you do that, Shahar, I'm going to keep thinking about wanting to build our own mob CLI.
Yeah, one day.
All right.
Here's an editor. The diff shows git ignore logs, log destination. It's probably some unused here. Creates DB context.
Yeah, I don't think we've written the interesting part yet. We were getting close, though.
Here.
Looks
I
good.
was saying that this command.
Yeah.
So std command.
It's inheriting. Oh, sorry. I'm going to step away. I'll be right back.
And remove. Blah, 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 blah. Spawn fragile. Arg, 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 arg. Listen addresses equals nothing? What does that mean?
Hello.
I'm looking at this. C, listen addresses equals and then nothing. And I'm like, kind of like, yeah, this is on purpose, but
That's to like disable TCP or something?
I suppose.
Maybe you could use a comment.
Good enough. So there's this, std. It's about stood out and stood. But you think it's only stood air, probably, right? It stood out. There's no stood out.
Let's start with stood air and see what happens. I have no idea where it's printing these logs.
Mm-hmm. So this is something like what? Stood air. Something that is into std.io. As an example, is std.io. No, something like std.io. And we want pipes. Now, if you just leave it this way, I think we will already not see the stood air.
Okay. Can you explain to me in Unix terms what that does? Like, what is the stood error of that process? Like, where is that file descriptor pointing?
Command is convenience.
Mm-hmm.
Nexted.
Okay. Mob start 7.
Command. It's a builder pattern. By default, if this is not passed, it's equivalent to std.io inherit or inherited or whatever it's called.
Okay.
And that means that the child process when it spawns from this command will inherit the stood air, stood out, stood in of its parent.
Yeah, not this line of code. You're talking about this line of code. If we did like inherit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this makes sense to me.
But that's
this I don't understand. Well.
Because it's not piped anywhere yet.
Mm-hmm.
you can only start. You get after the after process spawned, then you can obtain a handle to its std_err.
Okay, so this would be if you wanted to read its std_err into like a string in your Rust process. Like, is this like
More
make
like for
pipe?
streaming it into some, like reading it in whatever chunks the operating system gives it to you.
Okay.
Like in synchronous terms, synchronous API, the API that's in std,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you the read that handle. It either itself it can be read directly, or you can open it for reading or something.
Yeah. So I think my question is in Unixy terms, this Postgres process, if we started up like this, what would its std_err file descriptor like? What is the file it would actually point at? Like we did like ls of /proc /whatever
I think
/fd.
it gets assigned some FD, and you can obtain it programmatically. That's it.
Okay. So is that like shells, like in shell terms? Is that like doing like make pipe or whatever? Oh gosh. Make pipe. Make pipe. Pipe. Okay, I don't know how to do this. Bash make pipe. Make FIFO. Is that effectively what's happening?
Unnamed pipe. Yeah, probably.
An unnamed pipe. Okay. All right. And so, okay, this smells a lot like, I've done a lot of subprocess stuff in Python. So this is like what command is doing under the hood is it's creating a Unix pipe to give this Postgres process as std_err. And then we in Rust could start reading from that unnamed pipe if we wanted to pull those bytes into Rust memory.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what we want to do, right? We just want those bytes to go straight to a file. Shoveling them around in the Rust process feels kind of silly.
If we just want them to get to a file.
Yeah. So is there some other into std_io that is, can a file descriptor, like an open writable file descriptor, is that also into
I think
std_io?
we can answer that question in the Rust std docs.
Okay.
Because we can see what are the implementors of
I love it.
Into std.
Okay.
Maybe. Just maybe.
Into std. Into
well,
what?
There is no into std_out. There's just
std out and then whatever implements into for it. Into and try into.
Yeah, it probably into. But I don't think you can get implementors here. This is a kind of a difficult one where you can, if you're going to, because the trait is into, right? The rest is like type arguments. So if you go into the into trait and you
I'll
look
see a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Actually, I don't see anything. Huh.
So on the left you have table of contents, and one of them is implementors.
Oh, that's. I don't know how to read this.
Not. That's a blanket implementation, and it's not. Maybe they're omitted because
it would just be comically long. Well, my wild ass guess would be an open writable file descriptor is.
Wait,
maybe
hold
not
on.
even.
No, wait, hold on. Into is not the thing that is implemented explicitly. It's from that is implemented explicitly. That's why there are no implementors here.
Oh, okay. So this is the inverse direction. And if we go here, there we go. Okay. So what I could look for is for std.io. Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we want, right?
Yes.
So how do I build a file?
Click file.
Nice. Okay. Object providing access to an open file on the file system. File create. Interesting. You don't even have to say that you're opening it. It just is opened and writable. Can be read and or written depending on what options it was opened with. But they're not showing options here. Okay.
Yeah, it's a builder pattern.
Great. It's all you.
Oh my god, the hell. File create.
Okay.
This is write only mode. I think that's good for us.
Perfect.
This function will create a file if it does not exist, and truncate it if it does. Is that desirable?
You'd probably rather append, right?
I think so, yeah. We kind of want, yeah. Depending on the platform, this function may fail if the full directory path does not exist. See the open options. That way we can open with
I see.
with options.
Okay. Let's do it.
How do we do that? Yeah, open options, open. File, open. F. I think that's too early. I think we create an open options. Open options, open options. We're not even in file. Open options, create. Sets the options to create a new file or open it if it already exists. Append. Set the option.
Nice.
But look, this is mutating self, so that's not the starting point.
Sure.
Starting point
part
is
of the
new.
builder pattern, right?
Yeah.
And it did look like append had a useful end-to-end example there.
So this is an option because it's based on whether we do a log destination, right?
Well, I don't know enough about Rust type system. Like here, I'd be inclined to do like a ternary based on, or a match based on log destination, and just have a std.io at the end that we unconditionally feed into down below when we call the std.air fluent builder thing.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. So
is the type system going to be okay with that?
I think so.
Okay, let's do it.
This is not existing std.io, and this, and let std.io equals.
It's arguably std.o, right? There's no input to this.
I'm sorry, you're right. Std.o,
which is like
std.air destination.
Sure. It could also just be std.air. I think that's unambiguous in this context.
Okay.
We'll have to come up with another name if it turns out we also want to redirect std out, so don't get too attached to the name.
Match on that. Fill match arms.
Beautiful.
This should inherit.
That's just something inherit. Command inherit? Or was it std.io inherit?
Std.io in header.
Love it.
So what's the type? What's the type? It looks like std.io. So it's the same type.
Love it.
It's internally different, the value is different, but it's the same type. File. Here, we do something like open options, new. And then what? Some append. We want create. Says the option to create a new file or open it if it already exists. In order for the file to be created, write or append access must be used.
Okay.
So so we want create and append.
It says or.
Create. This is write. This is append. This requires write or append.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
This is
Create true, append true.
Append.
Love it.
That should do it. Then you go ahead and open. You get a result of a file. Open.
Okay.
A path.
Slick. So we created a get ignored folder for this, right? Log or logs or something?
Yeah. It may just be logs. And then unwrap. There's no error handling.
Sorry, I was thinking logs was going to be a folder that has...
No, you're right. I'm just being silly. But so logs...
I don't know, psql.stderr or something. psql.stderr.log.
This is not tool specific. So yeah, PSQ log.
Yeah, I mean we could call it .stderr.log if we want it to be explicit.
It's kind of an implementation detail, really. Who cares?
Okay. All right. Now it's not happy. Do we need to like explicitly into on this thing?
Well, this is a file. This is like a mismatch. This is found to be of type file. That's of std.io.
Mm-hmm.
We could do is use a box dynamic a trait object, I think, if we wanted to. But I think it's also fine to like go ahead and like mutate this. You know, we don't need a value. We can just call it. You know, because it's a builder pattern, you can hold the value and then you can of the command.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you're saying, we could break this up and not unconditionally call stderr in this way.
Share screen
instead. Darn it! Thank you. Wow, really? Okay, there we go. You're saying we could break this up and like basically have a match statement that calls stderr with two different values.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, and I think I understand how I do that. I would like to understand how to make this work just for my own education.
I think we need to start by declaring the type on the binding.
Okay, so like previously, the type here was std.io. So we'd say like
it won't be std.io. It would be a box.
Okay, I think that's where I'm confused. I thought the file was into std.io.
Yeah, but that's a trait. That's not a type.
So if this thing right here.
Oh, maybe we could convert the file after we got it, obtain the file. We could, do into
Okay,
std.io.
that's what I was hoping we'd be able to do. Okay, great. So std.io, and then if I do like dot
For that,
into,
yeah, that's might work.
okay, that is not producing a compile error. Do you trust it? Do I even need
Yes.
this annotation? Or will like the type checker just try to find a way to make this work?
Does it work?
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not
So
giving me an error.
I think the reason it works is because the compiler looks at these match arms in order. It looks at the first and it says, I cannot infer from the first because it's just an into. Okay, let's look at the second. Yeah, the second returns a concrete type. So that must be it. Okay, now let's see whether the first
can obey that. And it's probably even clever. Like maybe this one could into multiple things, and it'll, if there's an intersection of size 1, it'll use that. And if the intersection has more than one thing,
I don't think so.
Oh, it's not that clever. Okay.
I don't think so.
So I guess here's my question to you as a Rust person with some actual Rust experience. Is this code better or is this code better?
The one without the type, because the editor shows you the inferred type.
Yeah, I'm thinking more about like future changes, if it would be nice to have some sort of like stake in the ground about what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's the inferred type. That's it's not a stake, but you don't need a stake. You see it. This code doesn't go and call other functions that you might change later. It's all here.
Yep. Cool. All right. Well, I'm happy with this. So that was educational. Would you prefer doing the splitting up the builder thing?
No, this is the best. This is the best. Let's see if it works.
Okay, great. Util dib REPL. Okay, so I wonder if it's not happy because the logs directory doesn't exist. So I'm going to try making that directory to test that theory. But let's remember that we have a bug. Yeah, okay. So we need to somehow ensure that that logs directory exists. And it also feels like this stuff's going to stood out. Let's test that theory. Now, obviously, that's a bad variable name now.
Well, hold on. Did you check the contents of the log file?
Let's take a look. There's some stuff in there. Yep. Good question.
The other stuff is not PSQL. It's initdb.
Good point. Good point. Okay. So initdb is not part of starting up PSQL. That's something we did. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's somewhere earlier.
Right. Okay, great. So I'm going to float this up. Sound good?
Float this up. What is it? What does it mean?
This thing. So we can reuse it for this command?
No. Initdb, the output of it is appropriate.
It's not going to get interleaved, so it's fine.
Yes.
Okay. Works for me. Okay, so let me trigger a warning. We'll see what happens. So if I do like blah, 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 blah. Okay, that I think, I can't remember. Do you remember what we did yesterday to prove that error output was getting interleaved?
Can you give us a follow? A tail F on?
Seems like it might be working.
Yeah.
Like previously we were seeing these statements right here. Okay, great. So we'll start here. Obviously we can change this in the future if we need to. So the only thought I have is, would it be nice to our future us or other people to print out a message saying, hey, I'm starting up Postgres, and by the way, the std logs can be found in such and such location?
Yes, that is kind.
Okay. And I'd argue if the log destination is inherit, it doesn't matter. I think we could just jam this into this match, right? Mob next. Like basically print something and then return the thing, the log destination.
Sure. Means.
Can you share screen?
Sorry. I use two different tools for work. I use Jitsi Meet where to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So this needs braces.
Okay.
And something like print line.
Love it.
How do we get the attention?
Well, that's given that all that initDB spew is happening. I think I'd argue we could get their attention by also sending the initDB spew out there, and then there'll be a lot less on their screen.
That's a good point. Let's see what it looks like.
Okay.
Logging 2. Okay, now we need to obtain the path earlier, right? Where's the path? This
right there.
This path?
Yeah.
Okay. Semi.
Love it.
Let's see. Also, what about this? Creating the directory.
I forgot about that. Thank you. This is why we pair on things.
This is why we pair.
Yeah, we got to make sure that directory exists.
I think something like make dir. I don't know how to.
If you want to solve this with Git, we could commit an empty directory to Git.
Don't want to solve that with Git. Create dir. Sounds legit.
Remember, most of the time, create dirs tend to fail if the path already exists. Yeah, so this one will as well.
Just create dir all. Cursor the created directory and all of its parent components if they are missing. This function returns an error. Some of the parent components might have been created already. What? Oh. If the empty path is passed to this function, it always succeeds. So that's it. Create dir all logs.
But I don't get it. Are we just going to ignore the result?
This. Okay, so this doesn't mean that if there are any parent components, it will fail. It means that
if it happens to return an error, it's not atomic. It can't transactionally create all these. Okay. Yep.
But there's a little bit of a problem here, which just depends on present working directory. It's not like the root of the project.
Yeah, because we can run. I think
we can obtain the root of the project with something like let root project repo root something like env cargo manifest dir
And that should go above where we create the path, right?
Cargo environment variables. Just here. Directory containing the manifest of your package. But what if we have multiple package? Oh, look, this is a new one. The repository from the manifest of your package. I like that.
Well, what's a repository? Is that like a Git URL?
Oh, from the manifest. Oh, sorry, that's not it. And that's not new. Yeah. The problem, what if it's a workspace, right? Cargo Rust secret. What if it's a workspace, right? And then you're in a subdirectory. I guess it's better than nothing. There's also probably crates for doing this more reliably.
Yeah. And it's generally search upwards for like a .git directory or something.
Sorry.
There's also a git command to print out the repo root.
So crate that obtains repo root. That's a bit much.
We do already have gits.
You already have git. It's just a command, you say?
I mean, yeah, there is a git command to print out the root of the repo, but we also
Just
have,
use the git
isn't
command?
it Gix? Isn't that the Rust Git library thing?
Gix.
We're already using that for...
I'm skeptical that it... Okay. Maybe we should just use the git itself. Git command. Simple?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to do some error handling. You could also ask maybe ChatGPT how to convert that git command into a Gix command. It's git rev-parse. Okay, I'll take over here. So the command we want to run is this right here. Git rev parse show top level. And if I like run this in like a subdirectory, it does the right thing. If I run this in my home directory, it exits with 128. That's fine. We're only ever going to run it in a Git directory. So I don't know. We can... Whoops. All right. Port this to Gix. I don't know. Will that work? Wait, what are we using? Are we not using a thing called Gix?
Why are you suddenly skeptical?
Well, this is showing me like a CLI incantation. I was hoping to get some Rust code out of this thing.
Yeah, maybe Gix is the CLI, and Git Oxide is the port this to...
I don't know, awkward English, but it should figure it out. Repo workdir. Do you want to try this? Or do you want to just do the sub process?
Try it. Seems trivial.
Okay, here we go. Boom. Where do we need this? Oh, I don't have the code. You added braces here, and you extracted paths, right?
Yeah, I did a bunch of stuff. Maybe I didn't save.
Oh, I've got it now.
I did.
Yep, my bad. Don't know what happened there. Sorry. Repo, and then top level dir. Okay. And the thing we need to import is Gix repository. Okay. And now it's not happy, unresolved import. Is that because this DB context crate needs to inherit Gix? I don't remember how to do this. Inherit equals true? Something like that?
In which this is a DB context. I don't believe it's inherit. Is it?
Workspace. Haven't we done stuff like that? Workspace.
Sure, but just find out.
Okay. Dependencies, it's Gix dot workspace equals true.
That's equivalent, right?
Oh, okay. I'm not really a TOML expert.
And I think they're sorted, or should be sorted. Maybe they
Oh, okay.
are
So
not
Gix is
really
not
sorted.
currently at the top level. Yeah, I can sort.
But if they're not already sorted, please don't sort.
Well, then where do you want it to go?
Never mind.
This is sorted relative to fragile.
Make it sorted relative to the first sorted sequence.
Okay, there we go. So I think if we want to do this, we have to float this up to the top, right? This is currently in the fetcher cargo.
Yep, do that, please.
Fetcher cargo Gix. So now what I'll say is Gix dot workspace. Oops. Equals true. I'll delete this and I'll move this to the top level. Cargo TOML. FTD. Okay. Element OP. All right, there we go. And now, if I do a cargo cookie, all right, things are happening. Not airing out on. Okay, great. Hey, did it hallucinate? Thanks a lot, ChatGPT.
Maybe there's something else. Maybe it's similar. Maybe there isn't.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Gix, Rust. Oh, am I out of time already? Or did I never successfully start the timer?
The latter.
Sorry.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay. Gix discover. Sounds like a thing that exists.
Maybe this version doesn't have it. Wait, is it under repository or where is it?
It doesn't look like it's under repository.
Yep.
So do I do Gix like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's causing something. Can only be used in async functions that return.
We unwrap here.
Great.
But this is async. Is this discover async?
Doesn't look like it's async. I don't see a type
Oh,
of
we are in an async function. Okay, never mind.
Okay.
It's not because it is async, it's because we're in an async function.
Okay, great. Unwrap. Okay, things are happening.
Does Gix have an async equivalent API? Like if you search
Don't
Discover,
remember.
does it anything else? Doesn't seem like it.
Okay. So now we might have the, I'm going to call this repo root. Could not find the root of the repository.
Oh, there's no need. Just unwrap it. Wait, what is this OKOR for? No, we don't need an OKOR, and we don't need a map either,
I don't see an
do we?
OKOR. Where's this?
There was an OKOR. You deleted it. There might be
Oh,
some delay. What I
yeah,
see.
yeah. Okay, so that's gone. We're just unwrapping,
I
and then
don't
we're
think we need.
converting it.
If you don't do a map, what's the parameter? What's the type of the parameter of the path?
It's an
By the way, you should
option.
probably have type annotation, inlay hints, so that I don't have to ask.
Oh, okay. I will happy to figure out how to do that.
I think there's an nvim inlay hints
Mm-hmm.
plugin. What's the type of path inside the? Oh, it's an option of stood path. So just
Mm-hmm.
unwrap the option before, and then we don't need a map.
Got it. And then we do dot to path buff.
Uh, yes, if we need a
Oh, we'll see what we actually need.
well, that if we can keep it a reference, keep it a reference. Path is a reference, right?
Okay.
So
Great. So we got the root of the root. Now I want to, I don't know, join ideally that with this thing.
yeah, and if you need to join, then you need to turn it into a path buff and mutate the path buff, or do more functional things.
It doesn't. I mean,
Oh,
did
join
that do what
creates
I
a new
want?
one.
I don't know. I mean, I
Oh,
have a ref
join
path.
on a path. So join on a path must be returning a path buff. It makes sense, right?
Okay. So it's allocating memory by doing that,
Yeah.
which seems totally reasonable. Nicely ergonomic. Okay. But it does not implement display. This is that whole Camino thing, right? These are not necessarily
Yeah.
Unicode.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this path does not come with from Camino, but we can immediately turn it into a Camino,
Okay.
into a UTF-8 path, right after the
Into
unwrap.
up here. Whoops, here. Do I need to import a trade or something? How would I do this?
The Camino crate might not be in this crate, dependency in this crate.
DB context cargo Camino is here.
Okay, cool. So I don't know whether there's a trait from Camino that you can. The only way that a crate could add a trait to a different, to implement. The only way that you can have a method on path that would make up try to convert it into a different type
Mm-hmm.
is if Camino declares a trait and then implements that trait
Uh-huh.
for that path type, and you
Yeah.
have to import that trait into scope.
Right.
So maybe there is such a thing. We have to find out.
Okay. So
Otherwise,
the
I'm sure
thing.
there's a less chained method call syntax to convert.
Okay.
To,
Yeah. Tell me what you want to do.
I think one way is to declare repo root as what is it called, UTF-8 path buff. and then to do a try into unwrap after at the end of that. The first unwrap is for the option.
Like that?
Try into unwrap.
Okay.
If you don't unwrap,
right.
then
because it's a try, so it's not guaranteed to happen. Sure. Okay. I will rotate.
So many types. But you're not my type. It's Rust. It's Rust. Let's see what type this. That's option of path. If we unwrap, we get a path. And then apparently there is no try into UTF-8 path buff. This is surprising, isn't it? Like, what? I don't know. Like what other? Like what other? Right? I mean, of course, there's UTF-8 path buff. Like try from. Let's try from. No, that's try. That would be the same thing, right? From path, from stir, from iter, from path buff. So maybe we need to first turn, first turn it into a path buff. So so first, hey, stop, hey, to own, or to path buff. So we have more,
Okay.
Cool or what?
Got it.
Verbose.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only thing I would potentially do as a little ergonomics thing is the absolute path here is going to be a little annoying. Like, it would be nice if we could print out a path relative to the current directory.
Well, just if you could, so let repo root and then let logs dir. Wait, we don't need the dir at any point. We don't. Oh, for creating, we need that, right?
Yep.
So logs dir equals.
I mean, can we, given the path, can we ask the path for its parent?
Maybe. But if we have a binding, we could just no, maybe you're right. So
that feels slightly more readable to me. It's like, here's the file I want to create.
Sure.
And create its parent,
Okay.
If that's straightforward to do.
No, that's so, but this join.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Gotta support Windows, right?
Maybe join actually knows what to do anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
There's push if we wanted to, but I don't think we need to. Do we need the repo path? Because if we don't. But this is more, I don't know, functional.
I don't understand the question, sorry.
We could mutate this. So it starts from the repo root, right? So you do path, and then you go mute path, and then you go path, push, and push.
I see. Okay, I preferred the way we had it a moment ago.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know if there are rusty reasons to do it the other way.
No, just less memory or something. Just insignificantly more performant.
I see.
print line logging to. No, it's logging to path. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't need this thing.
And then
And
here,
this is incorrect.
yeah, it's like path
We
dot
want
parent or something.
path dot parent.
Nice.
Turns the path without its final component, if there is one.
Love it.
Unwrap. Then you said something about printing, but like relative to the repo root, right?
No, I think relative to the current working directory.
What is that? Oh.
So basically, people would run this command somewhere, and then they'd see, a shorter path. This is minor, and we don't have to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to spend time on doing that.
Okay. This looks good. Let's see if it actually works.
Okay, I don't have logs here. So
Right.
I'm going to run this. How do you want it? What do you do till
util db REPL.
REPL? If I keep recording this show and never editing and publishing it. All right. Here's another.
I have said it before. I will say it again. This seems like too much work for you.
No, it's fine. I'm doing this.
Okay.
GitHub. So tail f logs that was created. Let's put it over here, and then do some nonsense. Valid SQL.
It looks like you see how your prompt changed? I think you're partway through writing a command. Maybe a semicolon.
Oh, what do I know about SQL?
Sweet.
Cool. What
Good
about
stuff.
So logging 2 shows up over here.
Yep. Oh, it's already a relative path. I'm surprised. That I would not have expected.
How is it?
That doesn't make any
When
sense.
did it become?
Me. Oh, is Gix not returning an absolute path to us? It's just returning a relative path to the root of the repo?
It must be.
Yeah. Okay. Can you try this in a subdir?
Sure.
So that accidentally behaved the way I wanted it to.
Yeah, it works for me. Great.
You don't get many moments like that when coding.
The REPL. Yep.
// Wow, so cool. So cool.
Let's go.
Okay, and then, I don't know, do we want to suppress the init spew, or are we done here?
Next. Yeah, we should suppress it because now that if the only thing that we do print is please share screen is logging 2, then you don't need the init. Like if you really want to see it, you go there, take a look.
I think it would be nice. Okay, so I'm gonna float this up, this whole std error block.
Float.
Boop, 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 like that. And then initdb is gonna get a similar sort of std error treatment, right? So I've copied that to my clipboard. I'm gonna get ourselves in here somehow. Throw in another dot. Too many dots. Something like that. Okay. Oh, reference, copy, something. Ref.
Sorry. Can I see? I didn't see the error.
So it doesn't like that we're.
This is a move.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So can I reference it rather?
I think we can clone it.
Okay. And what about your spidey senses telling you to clone versus ref?
Because I don't. Because it probably takes an owned value. What it std error takes an into std.io, and into itself typically is not found on references
Okay.
because
But we're not.
it's a conversion of a value to another value, consuming the value.
Are we giving it an into? Okay, sure. But aren't we? I mean, it's a std.io itself, right? There's no
Yeah,
there's no
but
conversion.
a std.air method doesn't know that, doesn't care about that.
Okay.
It will call into.
Right. Well, there does not appear to be a clone on this thing.
There, I remember cloning of what is this
std.io.
std.io. I think there is like a method that involves unsafe code, which if you can convert it into a file descriptor, and then you can.
Okay. Should I be asking the internet like how to reuse a std.io?
Maybe. Well, how to clone.
Okay. Oops.
Just go to. I say go to the reference for std.io. See what methods it has.
Okay. So these are not methods, right? This is an implementation. Okay. The methods are inherit, makes pipe, null, and piped.
Mm-hmm. And the create
No, wait, I'm
implementation.
confused. These don't feel like methods to me. Like, this is std.io the scope, not like an object or whatever that implements std.io.
Mm-hmm. That's a static method. Inherit is a static
Right.
method.
Okay. So we're not interested in the static methods. We're interested in, what are they, trait implementations? I'm
Yeah.
going to need you to guide me. I don't really know how to look through these docs yet.
So do you see this from raw FD?
Yes.
Or from owned FD? But there is no into. maybe owned FD or raw FD. If you look at the type owned FD, does it implement from std.io?
It implements. I think that's a yes.
Mm-hmm. So we can
get our hands on a
convert.
owned FD.
Yeah.
And then we would convert it into a std.io twice. Is that right?
Maybe.
So I think we
Better
are
ask
going to have to break up.
ChatGPT.
Okay. How would you phrase this?
We have a file, right? That's where we have an open file, right? Let's go back to the file type. We have an open file, and we've converted it into that last into that's std.io.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we do that, yeah, but this is one of them. The other one of them is inherit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So for the inherit, that's not a problem. Let's forget about. Like, I mean, you can just obtain 2 of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's easy. But for the file, you don't want to open the file twice. You want to open it once,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then pass on. But then you'd have to. Well, so I think they're not operating at the same time. That command, that init command, initdb,
Yes.
it uses that, and maybe it can relinquish it after it's done.
Okay. Mob done. I'll rotate over to you.
Starting. Where is good there?
Can you share?
I'm sorry.
All good.
Good there. I'm not finding it. Is this our file?
Database context?
Maybe
Is that the one?
context? No. Is it?
Seems like it.
It's util. No, it isn't.
DB
So where's
context
my?
circ lib.rs.
But shouldn't there be a std error method somewhere here?
There should be. Yes.
Std.io. Std.io. Nothing. I failed to. Where am I? Am I in the wrong branch or something?
I have a bunch of
No.
uncommitted changes somehow. I don't understand. What's the last command I ran here? Mob?
Something is wrong.
Oh, I ran mob done. There's the problem. Sorry, not mob next. Okay. How do I undo this?
Okay. Share screen.
So I could commit. I could.
Hold on. Here's how you can do it. You can do git stash.
Mob start, git stash pop.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Your mob start did not succeed.
Yep. I'm trying to get to the point where it will succeed. Mob start. Git stash pop. Okay, mob next. Okay, sorry about that.
Unshare screen. Share screen.
Where that came from.
Share screen. And mob start. I thought I was being confused.
No. Gonna blame that one on it's early in the morning.
Good, so I'll first take care of this. The std err, the inherit case, okay? Because we cannot use. But we can have 2 of them in this case. It's kind of it's I don't know. But in the case of we don't need 2 in any case, right? So if we can reuse it, then 1 would work anyway, right?
If we can reuse it, then 1 would work anyways.
If we can reuse, so status.
Sure. Yeah.
This is the status, and we gave it the only std error that we had.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but what if we can obtain from status? I'm skeptical, but maybe there's a more lower level. So process, right? Yeah, from process child. So there are the fields, And if you do, you can take it away from it. But we kind of want to kind of wait. And there's an output. There's wait with output. There's wait. You get exit status. There's wait with output, which we don't care about, right? There's exit status. Exit status, you get code, exit OK, and success, but you don't get those file descriptors. Maybe they're gone. Maybe you cannot get them back. You can take them like whenever you want at any point because you have the fields. But what is the point at which you can take them? We kind of want to take them as the process terminates. Does that make sense?
No, I don't understand. Who can take the fields?
We can take the field from the child. The child, if you do command, let's say you have a command process, command, and you end up doing spawn.
Okay.
You get a child.
I see.
And then you have these fields that are option of these.
Okay.
Of these.
So you can reference them. What does it mean to take them?
So an option is like a container that can be collapsed as into none, right? So if you know because you have put some value in an option, then you can use the method take to take it back, and then that would you get the inner thing. You need to unwrap it, right?
Okay.
But you get the inner thing, and that option gets mutated into none.
Oh, okay. Interesting. But is this mutable?
Yep, it's a public field of the struct child.
Okay.
So we can.
So after we wait for the child to exit, can we then take the std?
You don't have a child at that point. There's also on the child there's wait, and you get just a result of an exit status.
Sure, but if we had a separate binding for the child,
Yep. It doesn't consume self.
I can't tell that. Can you explain?
Yep. If wait takes ref mute self, it does not consume that process.
What would it look like for it to consume it? How would the type signature be different?
Just self.
Okay, so it's the ampersand is the thing. The fact that it can take a ref.
Amp or amp mute.
Sure. Okay. The mute is not the relevant part though. It's the ampersand.
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Sure. Let's give that a shot.
But I just want to say this is not a modifier on that.
Oh, okay. They're two separate things in your brain. I see.
I think so, yeah. There's like ref mute and there's ref.
Got it.
I rotated.
Okie dokie. So child.
Share screen.
Thank you. I don't have the excuse you have. All right, so command new initdb arg. When do we actually get our hands on a child?
So we don't, because we call this, see, we never instantiate a child. We just call it status on a command. That's a shortcut for, okay, spawn it.
Okay, so we'd have to break that up a little.
Yep.
Okay, so this would be like let child equal, and it'll look something like that. Like with a dot. Begin.
Spawn,
start,
I believe.
Spawn. Hey, spawn fragile. Okay, that's ours.
Yeah, I think we want with spawn. You remember spawn fragile? Do you remember why we did that? I think we
just to make sure
like
the
for
child
safety.
To make sure the child
we
would
leave
exit
no child behind.
Exactly.
So let's use that. Why not?
Okay. Child dot status. Wait.
I believe it was a yes. Wasn't it wait?
I'm just making sure I've got what I think I have. Okay, so I guess I need to unwrap on this.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I can do a child dot wait. So that'll return a something. That'll return a result. So we can status equals unwrap. And then do we even use status? We assert status success. Okay, reasonable. Cannot borrow child as mutable as it's not declared mutable. So is that just a let mute? Okay, great. And now for our final trick, child dot stood. Oh, I thought these were public fields.
Yeah, but maybe not on fragile child.
Okay, let's just do spawn
Let's see
for
what.
now.
Okay.
Okay. Hey.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's basically the only way you'd use it. I think something.
It says if it has been captured. I don't know what that means.
Uh.
That sounds to me like if you're putting it into an unnamed pipe and then you want to read it into. I'm becoming less optimistic, but I guess let's see what happens.
Which shows the rest of the docs. Is that all of it?
This was the idea, though. We were going to do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but sorry, you wanted to look at the docs? Which docs?
Of stood air field.
Okay. That's the child.
Yep. Sorry, where is it?
Right here.
Confused. Yellow. The handle for reading from the child's standard error if it has been captured. Might find it helpful to do. Take unwrap to avoid partially moving the child and thus blocking yourself from calling functions on child while using it stood there. Let's try it. I mean,
yeah, we'll see.
It won't silently fail.
Okay, so now we've got the wrong type. We've got a child stood error. What do we do with these?
Don't mutate shadow.
Am I mutating?
Yeah, you are reassigning a binding.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to shadow that stood error binding.
Mm-hmm.
But
shadow it with let.
Oh, I see.
Now it's okay that it's a different type.
Got it.
The question is, will it be accepted?
All right. Well, I think we have our code compiling, so.
Really? That's absurd.
I don't know. We shall see. Is it gonna work? Doing a lot of compilation here. I wonder why. Hey. Well, we crashed. 974. All right. Yeah. So that feels to me like the thing we read in the docs, which is this is only a value when you're typing it, when you're putting it in that so-called unnamed pipe.
I don't, I don't. Maybe it's because the child process is dead, been terminated. It's exited. Maybe that's why you can't take back the
Next. Maybe.
there.
But the docs, I mean, they were very clear about saying
Okay.
if
So yeah, I'm not sure what captured means.
yeah.
So what we're going to have to do is open the file twice.
Seems like it. Or I think, like you said, there's something clever we could do with file descriptors. Which might be Unix only.
Okay, so let's say
But
we
we're
have
already Unix only.
let's say we have a file. Instead, file. She doesn't want to shower.
Your dog?
We can't hear the screaming.
I do hear that, yes.
That's not my dog. The neighbor. She doesn't like showering. I don't pity her. I pity the mother. Oh, it's not the mother. It's not the mother. It's a foster parent.
Nice.
Divulging super personal details here.
I get it. Kids are busy. They got other shit they want to do.
So say we have a file. There's a bunch of as FD into raw FD, all sorts of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
As FD gets us a borrowed FD, which so we need to see what can be converted into a std, right? Into a std IO.
Yes. How do you go from a file descriptor back into a std.io?
So from there's a bunch of from. So there's childs. Look, if we were able to obtain this child stood there, it would have worked. So that's why it compiled, right?
Yep.
And I bet, never mind, whatever. No bets. All bets are off.
I mean, they're in the example here, they're showing them using the std.io piped. So I think that's the answer about what captured means.
Sorry, what, where?
If you go back to where we were a moment ago, because you were saying I don't know what captured means. And I was saying, well, I'm pretty sure it's when you pipe it, and that is an example of it here.
Yeah, maybe that's true, but even then, if the process exited, I am skeptical that you would be able to obtain anything.
Yeah, that sounds plausible.
So we do have a file, right? But I don't think we can clone a file because it's a handle, right? So I won't see clone here.
But I would expect
we can
file
clone a raw
to be
FD. I think we can clone a raw FD.
Okay.
And we can, so there's from raw FD for std.io, which it's an unsafe from raw FD.
Mm-hmm.
There's also an from owned FD, so there's kind of two ways we can do this. So this is the connection between kind of these two windows, like we're looking for the intersection
Okay.
of what a file can be converted into.
Mm-hmm.
As these as these as
I mean,
and
aren't we already
these
converting
from.
a file into a std.io in the code we've
Yes,
got?
but we need to convert it into something that can be cloned. Mm-hmm. And then we need to convert that something that can be, we clone it. Then we can. Does that make sense? Then we convert
Sure.
to something that can be
But that
cloned
seems like a
to a
purely
std.
file question. It's like with a file, okay, maybe you can't clone a file, but if you can get the file descriptor for the file, you can clone that and then create a file out of that.
Likely. You know what another option is?
Nope.
Because this will be unsafe code.
That
Another
is a
option is
word
just
I've heard
open.
before.
Yeah, because you cannot. So as raw fd
Like
is
unsafe, what does unsafe mean? It means like we
it
could have a
means you'd
buffer
have to.
overflow.
It means that there's no guarantee. It's like it's an arbitrary. Sometimes it's an arbitrary barrier. You like declare a function as unsafe because it can something other than panic, right? It can do some memory corruption, memory problems, some behaviors are definitely undesired that
Okay.
should you
So it's
that
not
you should.
necessarily memory.
Hmm?
Like in this case, it could be like, oh, you just start reading or writing to some random file that like some other file descriptor than what you meant to or something.
Yeah, like the guarantees of a file type are like you own it, so no one else
Yeah,
has that handle.
I see.
But if you start cloning it this way,
Got
that's
it.
an unsafe operation.
Okay. But we are doing this all in line, so we like kind of know that barring future refactors where we screw things up, this is a safe operation to
Yeah,
reuse.
or right, we can do unsafe code, but we should avoid doing unsafe code as much as possible. I am next to share screen,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the natural way, the simple way to avoid the unsafe here is to
Yes.
simply open that file and close it, and then open it again.
Okay. That seems fine. What's the most ergonomic way of doing that?
Make a function that would open this file for us.
Could we have a function that just returns a std.io? Like converts a log destination into a std.io?
I don't think we want to convert the log that. Oh,
Like basically this thing. Could we pull this into a function?
well, I don't think we want that because um,
I guess we'd print the logging message twice, but ignoring that.
just that we have two of these, and inherit is do we what is inherit has the same problem.
We don't know yet. Let's find out. Let std error equal
It does.
stdio.inherit.
I mean, it's the same type. It's the same type, and
Mm-hmm.
it's owned, so it cannot be. It'll be moved into. That's a no. It's not a change, right? What you just did.
I don't have enough Rust experience. It sounds plausible.
I mean, if you look at the type of line of std error where it is now,
Yeah, it's of type std error. Stood IO.
That means both match arms return the same type.
Yeah. So, extracting this whole match into a function feels like it could work, right?
Yeah, but then we have the log destination,
Yeah.
the logging print line.
And so maybe that's just a separate match block or something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go down that path, or do you have a different thought?
For each of these, the same thing needs to happen except for the logging, right? Either the file is opened or not, or it's an inherit. That's true for each, for the init DB and for the Postgres server.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to do, let's see if this thing can do it for me. 2, extract into function. Where did the function go? Okay, put a function at the bottom. I don't know where. I guess that works. So this is log destination to std.io. And then we will use this twice, once here. Oops. And then another time down here. And we won't bother with it there. And then I'll rename the function to log destination to std.io. Okay. Value moved here. Come on.
The solution to that, no, don't. It doesn't accept a reference. This should not be referenced because go to the type. This type should be marked as copy. This enum.
Okay.
Derive copy for the enum.
Derive copy. I don't know how to do this.
Copy and clone.
Copy and clone?
Yeah. Clone's the actual operation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, copy is a marker trait.
Okay. Great. I think things compile. So if I do util db REPL, we should see an unnecessary log message. Also, what is this unused import? Okay, great. All right, logging to blah. Logging to blah. Okay, so I think initdb is printing to stood out.
I suppose.
So we can fix that. Initdb. Let std.io equals, or oh wait, let me use my tools, extract into variable. Okay. And then that's std.err, std out, and this is std.io.
Kind of like that's inline.
Well, I mean, it's, do we want to create 2 of these or reuse? Oh,
Wait,
actually, we probably can't.
For initdb, we might not need both stood there and stood out.
Okay, let me go back. So we'll try just doing stood out and see what happens. Okay, so initdb does print some stuff. These are potentially things we could make go away by actually just using auth local or something. I don't know. It says enabling auth trust. So is that just saying like, hey, we're doing this implicitly, but you could be explicit about it?
Let's keep them here. This is probably a good idea.
Let's keep the errors here.
Keep the warnings, the stood error here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you want to see if this will make the warning go away?
I think it's an unrelated change, though.
Okay. I'm just curious, though. I'm not saying we'll do it in this diff. No. Okay. That takes an argument. And then db dash help auth local default authentication method, and of course it doesn't tell me what the methods are. Okay. I'm stopping. That is time boxed, and I am done. Okay. Great. Okay, so now we've got double log messages. Do we want to clean that up?
Please, yeah.
Okay, so
about a rotation here?
Yeah, thank you. Mob next. Not mob done. So we could, add a weird little Boolean to that function, but I also kind of feel like creating a separate match block at the top might be better.
Where is it? What should I search for? Log
at the very bottom.
Destination to this should not log. Okay. So before this, we do something like match. No,
this is going to be annoying though, because we're going to have to repeat the logic about where the file is. I take it back. Maybe we should add a Boolean about logging.
We can take out the file here. This can go up there, and this can be even a closure if you like. Make use of scope.
Yep. Willing to give it a shot.
So I'll take these out of here. Well, all of this. This also needs to happen once, doesn't it?
It's not problematic to have it happen multiple times, but sure.
Right. No, it's it can. Okay. That's something like here. And then some failures. And match. Sorry, it's not match because it's like a if let log destination file equals log destination print line, or possibly all of this. No. Just the print line.
I mean, we shouldn't do any of this, right? Shouldn't that all get moved in?
Well,
there's no reason to discover the root of the repo.
Yeah, but then we don't have a function.
Sorry, what do you mean we don't have a function?
If we put this here, how is the function ever going to get them? This function needs these things. Now it doesn't have them. This and that.
Yeah,
And
so
you can't even pass them, right? Because, well, they're only here. You cannot pass them here.
Sure. But can't we like have an else to this if statement and make sure we always initialize path to some option?
I kind of think that all of this should be with inside a like a with log destination.
Oh yeah, that would be clean. Because then we'd only do it once, and it would give us a thing that we could use to like get the std.io each time we needed it. I like that.
Yeah.
I agree. That would be cleanest. Because then we have the single point where we can log. Yeah.
Will it be two things?
Would it be
I
two
don't
things?
imagine. I'm not imagining it completely. Like these two things, it'll with log destination doesn't solve. How does that solve the problem of scope?
So I think we'd do a with log destination, sort of thing. That thing would print the message, and then it would yield to us a like function we could call that would give us a std.io each time we need it.
It would return a function, a closure.
Sorry, I don't know the Rust terminology. I'm using
So
Python terminology.
something like let log destination we shadow, right, equals same thing get log destination, or what do we call this thing? No, it's a get log, no, make log destination, or this is a make log destination, make so get make destination get destination equals a match on the log destination, filling in, and then if it's a file, but in both cases it'll be a closure. Does that make sense? So we get all of this stuff, right? We print line it, and then we return some closure.
Sorry, I'm not following, but if you keep going or guide me through it. When you say return a closure, is a closure like a function we'll be able to call?
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Which will be something like this and that. This. And this will probably be moved. Is that moved here? And that does not know what to into, but we're going to fix that right here. Because this can also return a closure that gets you a
std.io inherit.
And I'm going to already delete this. Std.io inherit.
Does that also need move?
Move is for, this is a value. Okay, this expression evaluates into a value. that value will need access to this path.
Oh, okay. So this is about
And
reaching
this,
into other
without
scopes.
move, it kind of borrows it from, like, well, it will need to be alive. Like, the compiler will need to be able to guarantee that this still exists at this scope in which it is in.
I see.
Which is actually not the case, right?
Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
Expected closure. Now, we have another problem, is that you cannot, like, two closures are not compatible types.
Well, damn.
Two closures are not compatible types. We can make it a trait object. Do something like box new and box the closure. Okay. So maybe this would work. Remember, sorry, that's not here. Here, box the closure. Now we need to tell it that it's a trait object instead. You can't just, right? This is found to be of some type, and then this is found to be not of that type, you see?
Okay.
So you need to say, box of thine fn1s. fn1s.
Once.
That,
aren't we going to call these multiple times?
No, you're right. Yeah. fn the how does it work? Fn args. Remember how to do this. Fn special syntax takes nothing. Turns std.io and something syntax something
Mm-hmm.
semicolon. Where semicolon? So this.
Okay.
Okay.
And then this is get
So,
log destination or something?
Yeah. Without get destination.
Okay. Wow. Looks like this might work.
Okay. And having done all this, let me rotate.
Okay. Do you want to keep going or
I know
stop?
we're at time, but let's take a look at the type error.
Okay.
Maybe a borrow error.
Okie dokie.
It's a good dog. What's a good dog? Yeah. Good dog. Nothing
Okay.
dog.
Cannot move out of path, a captured variable in a FN closure.
Yeah, because you say. So you see that open. Take a look at at open. Yeah. See, open takes ref self, but then takes path by ownership.
Okay.
And we don't have more than one path.
Yep. Makes sense.
The closure lives. The path is a single value in the closure. You can't consume it if you say that the closure is of type fn.
Yeah.
If
we
you
said
consume
FN
stuff,
once, it would work.
That's right. Jeremy,
Makes sense.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thanks. You're a good teacher.
Thank you.
Okay, so doc1.
Well, is it what's the the path is a what? Path buff? It's path buff, right?
UTF-8 path.
You did it. Okay. Okay, what's next?
Still not happy with the lifetime of path here. So we cloned it
Different
here.
usage.
So do I need to say like let path equals path.clone? And then something like that? Because we're using it in two places. Borrowed value does not live long.
We don't have a move in the closure there.
Oh. Okay, so was that our only issue?
So now you don't need to do the path.clone there. You can do it on the where it is consumed.
Okay. Great. Because this is not consuming it.
Right. It seems to be creating a new one.
Got it.
Without consuming.
Redundant closure. Clever.
Well, hold on. What do you mean redundant closure?
Because we're just creating a function that takes no arguments and invokes a function that takes no arguments.
You're right. Totally. Yeah, that is clever.
Not
nearly too clever.
Convinced. I'm not convinced it's more readable, but
right.
We obey the Clippy gods. Okay. It's a very like Haskell-y sort of thing. Okay, so it gets printed once.
A very smart person is sitting over us saying, well, that's a function.
Yeah.
That is inherit is a function.
So tail-f, are we seeing logs? Yes, we are. Okay, beautiful. Nice work. That's totally what we want. And then as a separate thing, we could look into making this warning go away, but I feel very happy with what we've done here. Mob next.
Yeah, feel happy in terms of how much Rust we learned. That's really nice. But this Rust is verbose. So like seeing something like that, you kind of like, what is all this code? I just want.
I know.
Insert something.
And this feels like, the earlier Rust days when I was just, okay, I got to learn more Rust. And I still got to learn more Rust. But it does feel like there's just situations where it's like, okay, I just want to pull this out into a function. I just want to like reuse this thing. And my God.
I just want does not. It does. It's already in conflict with. It's a low-level language. You don't just want things in a low language. You can just want as much as you want. It's not going to happen. You have to make it happen.
My understanding of like what we were trying to do, that was a safe operation, and it's like the library/type system is not quite able to understand the safe thing that we wanted to do, and then that triggered a whole thing for us.
What is safe?
Letting a function, letting a subprocess run to completion with a file descriptor, and then trying to reuse that file descriptor afterwards.
But the fact is that that file descriptor is consumed by that method call.
No, I get it.
Okay. But there's like a reason for that, right?
Yeah, and so I guess what I'm saying is like, it smells to me like Rust is missing some sort of like, I've got it, but I can relinquish it. And then you can safely use it after I've relinquished it.
Rust has that.
Okay.
But a child, and you can, like I said, I think it's a Unix problem actually. This is a platform problem, because as soon as we managed to give the single stdio, right, the single file handle to the process.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, we could possibly take it back from the process before the process terminates. I think we could, because you put it there, right? Mm-hmm. I think we might be able to do that, but not like you'd have to like communicate with the process that it tells you, okay, now I'm done. You can take it before I, and then you can kill it.
I mean, there's no
But
communication required, like in the Unix sense. Like the process isn't going to do anything to that file descriptor when it's done. It's just, it stops writing to it and exits.
Sure, but it doesn't give it back.
Well, giving it back, that's not a Unix thing. You're talking about a Rust thing when you're talking about giving.
It's just a number.
Right.
It's just a number. And so you can do this, but you have to write some unsafe. But you have to put a little bit of code in unsafe.
Sure. Yeah, and so that's my point. Is like maybe there's no missing core Rust functionality, but it's like something about the design of the standard library here is making what should be, in my mind, a safe operation not possible to do. And it might be because like it's got to be cross-platform, and like actually you can't do this on Windows or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but I think at least on Unix you can if you vouch for the validity of that file descriptor, I think we can easily clone this, turn it into a raw file descriptor and clone it. We'd have to use unsafe,
right,
and clone, and the code will be cleaner. So it's a choice. What do you want? Do you want to like?
Well, what I want is to reuse a std.io. Like, I get that there are situations where it's not safe to reuse a std.io, but there are situations like what we're trying to do where if I wait for that process to run to completion, I'd like to be able to reuse that std.io afterwards.
You can do that. You can do that. It's like using unsafe is similar to using unwrap. We use unwrap everywhere, right? We say, okay, compiler, we know what we're doing. It's just another way of telling the compiler we know what we're doing. Frequently, it's a kind of a more deeper, we know.
Yeah. So let me try to say what I want in a slightly stronger way. It's not that I want to be able to do it, because you're right. I think we've identified ways to be able to do it. I'd like to be able to do it in a way where the compiler keeps me from doing something stupid. So like I want the compiler to keep me from accidentally spawning a child and not waiting for the child to finish before I try to reuse the std.io.
Right. But the problem with that is the guarantee of the file handle is that you're the only one who has it. No one else has it. And I think in Unix, even if someone else, some other process said, rub his hand and say, file descriptor 53. I think it will probably not let it because another process has that open. I'm just guessing. Makes sense to me. Well, so the
file descriptors definitely multiple processes can write to the same file. Like this happens when you're in the terminal, right? And like if you run two processes in the background, they're both writing to the same, inherited file descriptor from your shell.
Okay, sure. Well, maybe that's invalid. If as soon as that owned thing that in your code base, maybe not outside of it, but maybe in your code base, the idea is that cloning it is not safe because it's a handle. It's not value. If it's it's a value, you can clone it. It's a handle, and that's a feature. Like you could say, in the on the platform level, it's just data, right? It's just a number, but the Rust file struct is a handle. So it's like the guarantee that in my code, I will not. It's not only that. So it's not only the the descriptor itself, the number, it's also the guarantee that it's still open, right? It's an open file.
Yeah.
So if you clone it,
okay, so maybe that's the thing, is like the process maybe could close the file descriptor, and I don't actually know. My Unix knowledge is not up to
yeah,
snuff for Linux. Like maybe that would close it for the parent, and you know, Rust doesn't know, so Rust is erring on the side of care.
Yeah, there we go. I mean, that's what it represents, an open file. So you can't have that representation if you allow cloning it. It's not, doesn't work together. You want the raw file descriptor?
But then what I'd like from Rust is some ability to like say, hey, yeah, like I've got this possibly closed file descriptor. I'd like to unwrap it into a open file descriptor. Like I am asserting that the child process.
I think you can do all that. I think you can do it. It's just unsafe. It's just marked unsafe. That's all.
Okay.
So if you want, next time we can try to.
I mean, I think this
convert
would be
this
educational for me. We also want to get shit done, and it's like fine for me to just put this in my mental backlog of like, oh, the next time I run into this, I will have this reminder of this thing, and maybe I'll try a different way.
This is about readability. If you want to end up with like, what code do you want? And sure, yeah.
And I think the other thing,
but
sorry to speak over you. Go ahead.
The unsafe code will actually read better. Read much better. Look at how much detail we had to.
Yeah, the box.
There's a closure,
and those are all like my brain starts glazing over because I don't know what they are yet.
Yeah, and the guarantee that file descriptor that file is open is quite a simple one. It's not a difficult one.
So I think what's surprising to me is I thought that Rust was all about. I thought the word safe was specifically about memory safety. So I thought like if I was doing unsafe code, it meant I was at risk of like buffer overflows, like writing to arbitrary random spots in RAM.
There's plenty of stuff here, like that.
Yeah. But what we're talking about here doesn't seem like there's any risk of a buffer overflow or like, writing to some array, writing off the bounds of some array. Like, this is not the classic sort of like bugs you have with C programs. This is like some other type. This is some other meaning of safe or unsafe that I didn't realize. Also,
okay,
was the way that
some
Rust
other kind of
uses
guarantee.
the term. Yeah.
And the standard library tends to have these super low level things because that's the attitude in Rust. You don't, they std stays minimal. It only expands when it's absolutely clear that this is the way to do this something. But you can write whatever you want and put it out there in the community where unsafe or returning a result provides whatever guarantee you documented to provide. And it can be super high level.
Yeah.
So the same principles, but you can take them super high level.
Makes sense.
Cool. Thank you for watching the Molybdenum Software Show with Dawn and Jeremy. But I hope we'll have some more people. And if you want to join us, why don't you message us somewhere, huh? On Matrix. Do you have Matrix? Jeremy has Matrix. Look how
I am on there.
Intelligent Jeremy is. So get yourself Matrix.
Because I installed Matrix.
Yeah, so please like, share, and subscribe, and even sponsor. See you next time. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.